Why are autistic children such bad losers? And of course, I'm not talking about all of your kids. I'm talking specifically about Ruby, who's autistic and has demand avoidance. And this video was inspired by a chat from TikTok who was complaining about something that I identify with. Why is it that our kids with demand avoidance, if they don't come first in the race or in the board game or on the computer game, you name it, wherever, they can really kick off? If you're new here, by the way, my name is Jem. Good to meet you. And if you've come on back, well, nice to see you again. Please do like and subscribe, because I hope you can walk away by the end of this video with some strategies that I've used with Ruby to make her a better loser, if you like. Not that far back, I can remember Ruby coming from Aldi with me and her brothers, park up the car. One of the boys says, "I'll race you to the door," just like all kids do. And when Ruby comes last, I mean, the others, some of them came last. They can't all win, can they? She was the only one having what looks like a meltdown. And I mean on the floor, curled up, upset, really, really feeling some pain. But what if it wasn't about losing for Ruby? What if it's about her losing control? Take a moment to think about that. Children with demand avoidance, they can get this kind of system overload, right? You know, like a computer's got a CPU, like the central processing unit. Well, in their CPU, it can overload a lot. And when it gets overloaded, they lose control. We can often misinterpret the behavior of what looks like stubbornness or being a brat or a bad loser as actually a response, or a reaction rather, from their nervous system moving into survival mode. So with Ruby, when her brother says to her, "Let's have the race," the monologue in her head is, "I have to win," right? It's non-negotiable. I need to get the outcome. Why? Why are they so focused on control? Because demand avoidance is all about needing to keep control. Our children have an anxiety challenge, so they worry about losing control. And if they can't get the outcome that they set their mind on, then it moves into the fight or flight. It's like they've got a really rigid mental script in their head, and there's no space for plan B. And when the outcome changes and her brother wins, she isn't just disappointed like a neurotypical child. Her brain says, "Didn't get the outcome, I've lost control, I'm in danger, fight or flight." And then you see the side effects of them losing the race or whatever it is. So what's happening inside of their body? Because the more we understand, the more empathetic and useful we can be as parents. So Ruby's nervous system is like an alarm that goes off at the smell of something burning. And, Ruby, she kind of, when I speak to her, I start to understand her more as she gets older. The picture that she has becomes a rule. So it's quite rigid. And the rule becomes a law. And when reality breaks that law, because it will, because that's life, her body, it reacts like it's under attack. So you've got the prefrontal cortex in the brain, and that part there helps regulate the emotion. And that goes offline when they're in fight or flight. And then the amygdala kicks in, which is another part of the brain that deals with threats. So now you've got adrenaline and cortisol flying through their veins, and the fight or flight is in full motion. So Ruby, like I say, demand avoidance and your child, they believe they're going to get the outcome. They need to get the outcome. When they don't, they'll say, "I don't feel okay with it." They don't think they can handle it. Their chest feels tight. They don't know how to come back from it. They can't regulate their emotion. So this is not really them being a bad loser. It's about them losing control, and they can't get a grip on it to regulate their emotion. Now, the worst thing that we can do is the good old "just get over it." And I used to do that, but it makes it worse. Get over it, Ruby. It's a race. Big deal. People lose races. It happens all the time. When we talk like that, when we're not teaching them emotional regulation, right? You're teaching them emotional suppression. You're telling them to just pipe down and get on with it, even though they feel a different way. So we want to kind of slow things down here. And we want to validate what's going on for the child. Okay, we don't want to feed the storm. We don't want to send the message as well that you're only lovable when you're easy, right? When you go with the flow. that doesn't actually build resilience. That builds shame. We want our child to know that we love them, we support them, whether they're happy, angry, or sad. We're going to co-regulate them and not just try and reprimand them because it's convenient. So what can we actually do? Like, okay, Jem, you've spoken about all of the problems, what's going on in their mind and in their body, but what can we do? Well, I don't try to fix the meltdown. And there's some work you've got to do before and after when it comes to helping a child with demand avoidance, in my humble experience. And it's a bit like going to the gym where you build your muscles. You've got to help them build their nervous system to teach them to feel safe even when they lose. Now, the two strategies that I've used over the last, I'd say, 16 to 18 months. The first one is safe rejection scenarios. And that's a really fancy way of saying create playful, harmless moments with your child where they can be rejected and it doesn't feel like the end of the world. So we'll play Minecraft. I'll build a little house. She asks to come in and I say in a serious voice, sorry, no, you can't. Only giraffes coming today. Or we do take out, we've got these big boxes that you can push together like big elements and build a cardboard house. And I will say, ask to come in. And then I will say no. And then I will tell her that the dragon guarding this fork says only people who can sing, I don't know, a silly song can come in. I want my daughter to know that she's not in danger when she is losing. There's still a connection. There's still love. And what I'm doing is decoupling rejection from panic. Right? They don't have to go hand in hand. You can be rejected and not have to panic. You can laugh at it. Now, the second scenario that I like is a little bit of playful role reversal, I guess. So I play a game and on purpose, I fall into, go into full drama mode. No, I never win. It might be Mario Kart or something like that, my wife. And my wife will start, how can we help daddy feel better after losing? And my wife walks me through it. I play the curious child. How can you help me? And we invite Ruby to do the same. Now, through that, she learns what regulation starts to feel like, right? She models the compassion that we want. And not because I told her to do it, but because she felt it first. She can see I'm in distress and I need help, regulating. Ruby had to learn and is still learning that losing or coming last isn't dangerous and that, control isn't everything. She can fall or come last and it will be okay. So, something to think about, mums and dad. Our autistic children with demand avoidance, they're not bad losers. They're not fragile. They're not spoiled. They're trying to survive big moments, which are too big for their body. Literally, she's barely 6 years old, and our job is not to just toughen them up. That's the way I used to think. It's about building a bridge back to safety, right? We want to teach them you don't need to win to be loved. Yet you don't need to be first to be enough. You just need to be you, and I'll be right there. Because perhaps our children watch a YouTube or see their other siblings and they've got it in their mind that they need to come first as well. So that's also an additional type of implicit pressure that comes from society, let alone the internal pressure that they set for themselves because they want to come first to keep control. I think there's a lot going on for these little people that they may not understand, but the more that we try to inquire, the more that we educate ourselves, the more compassionate we can be. And, God knows I'm not perfect. I can get frustrated like any normal human being. But the more I've understood her, the better I've been able to regulate my emotion, which is because a dysregulated adult can't help a dysregulated child. That's what I tell myself all of the time. Try these things out. And if you like, please remember to consider sharing, liking and subscribing. It really does help the channel grow to spread awareness, I guess. Have a good day.